What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta. Today you're here with D-Boy and we are back with another video. This time we are going to talk about the Bruce deck. So if you guys have seen the video that we uploaded, or maybe the Facebook post that we put online, which we actually put this deck, the starter deck, the second starter deck from D versus the second trial deck from V, and saw which deck is actually stronger or which deck would win most of the games. And in these games there are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind. You have to keep in mind that this deck has more shield value, that this deck will actually make more attacks, and the mechanic being the persona right versus the force markers. So lots of things that you have to keep in mind. If you really want to know about that, then you could check the video that we uploaded. The link will also be in the description section below, where I talked about the mechanics and what's superior and what not, and which deck is better in what. In this video, I will showcase the deck that I will let the trial deck face, because when it comes to the trial deck, we can pretty much build it completely because we of course have all the cards from the trial deck. And although we could like fool around a little bit with the starter or with the triggers, as let's say you could change the crit that you put in there, but the deck is still the same. It doesn't matter. I like to put some other cards in here just to make it a little bit more fun for me, but most of the cards, of course, the cards with the skill are the cards from the trial deck. So for that, this deck, the Overlord deck, is of course complete. But when it comes to the Bruce deck, it's actually not complete because we don't know all the cards yet. So when you guys will see the video, there will be questioned the video that I will show you the two decks against each other. There will be some people that are asking, yo, D-Boy, what did you use when it comes to the Bruce deck, because the Bruce deck is not fully shown yet. So for that, we have this video. So it would be a kind of deck profile video, but not too much into it because we have lots of vanillas as well. But yeah, I just wanted to show it to you guys, so when we get into that video, you would know which cards I used and why. So when you see something that you say, hey, why is there this trigger in there? Why is this grade 2 in there? Well, you could see this video and let's explain it. Alright, so let's jump into it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, of course, subscribe, like, and comment, and yeah, just enjoy the video. So for the grade 3 lineup, we actually only have 2 choices, and we run 4 of each. So we have Bruce as your main grade 3. We'll come back to explain his skill or talk a little bit about him. And we have the new Colossus, actually the Juggernaut from Gear Chronicle, as I like to call him. Gear Juggy is in the house. So so we also play 4 copies of him. He's a huge beat stick, very good for soul charging as well. For the grade 2s, there's only one grade 2 that we actually really know of, and that's the 4 copies of Richard. So we have Bruce, we have Richard, and yeah, we don't really have any other grade 2 that has been revealed yet. So I'll have to come back to that and explain which grade 2s that I put in here and why. For the grade 1s, of course, we have the 4 copies of Bad Steve. So Steve is at 4, understandable. It's one of the best grade 1s that I have, and of course, one card that I think we will run for a very long time because it's very good in the right deck. We'll come back and explain his skill as well. The second card that we're running here is of course the Acrobat Presenter. It's another card that I really like a lot. It's very flexible, it gives the deck the extra soul charge that it needs, and it just overall it's a great card. The last great one that we put in here is a Perfect Guard, which is a 7k and no extra skill. Because we know from the Dragon Empire starter deck that these will be the PGs, so you could run whatever PG you like as long as it's a 7k. And it doesn't have an extra skill, then you're good to go, because the PGs from the trial deck will be the same as this one, but it will have of course a different art and different name. So then we get into the triggers. For the draw triggers, I'm not 100% sure that the draw triggers will have 5k shield, but I'm assuming they do. And the power that they give is of course 10k. They don't have a skill and they are just 5k power. So I'm assuming that these will be the triggers, but again, I'm not 100% certain. The same goes for the front. I'm assuming 15k shield, 5k power, no extra skill, and just the front, which will give 10k power. I don't know if it will be different than this, but I'm assuming it's not. So yeah, we will run with this for now, and we'll see when the cards really get revealed what they have as power and shield. For the heals, we know those. It's a 15k shield, 5k no skill. We have seen that. Bushi did confirm it, so people think it may have a skill. Well, I don't think so. For the crits, I'm playing 3 crits because most of us will get multiple starter decks. It's up to us to make the trigger lineup, because we could play more fronts, one more crit, or one more draw. So there will be one of these 4 in here that you will play one less. I decided to go with one less crit because I found that the front is better in this deck, because this deck loves rushing and there is no reason to hold back even your grade 1s, because they don't have that much of a shield value. And because we run lots of grade 2s, you could just put them on the field, you could intercept with them from the field better than defending from your hand. So I only run the 3 crits, and of course we have the over trigger. It will be the one from the trial deck, because again we are just facing the trial decks against each other. So even if we will get the one revealed, which is from Dark States, it will not be in here. So it's just the one from the trial deck, and of course you could only play that one. So that's for the triggers, and for the starters is of course Matty boy. So the triggers will not change, still the same. One thing that you could change, you could take out one front to put an extra crit if you feel like it. For the grade 2s that we have in here, I decided to put 4 copies of the Dragon Armor Knight. This is the one from the free starter deck that we have got from the start of V. And the reason why I put this card in here is that I really didn't want to go all out vanillas when it comes to grade 2s, because I felt that that was a little bit unfair, because again we will have other cards in here that we don't know yet, and those cards that we have are actually only 5 cards, because all the other cards are revealed. The grade 1 will still be the same, and as you can see, I don't run any of the new order cards, as the order card is good, it gives soul, but I didn't find it necessary to run in the deck because I have plenty soul. And yeah, you could watch the other video where I explained why I'm a little bit against the this order card, but maybe there is a big chance that one of the grade 2s will have something to do with the order card. Maybe it added to the hand, maybe you could add it back from drop zone or whatever. So if that is the case, then you get it as a free plus, then it's good. But if not, if the grade 2s will be more like gain 5k power or this or that, then I don't think that I will play the order card. I decided to put 5 copies of Black Panther right here. You could take them out to put of course anything that you want in here as a vanilla. You could play the Dudley vanilla if you want to, but as long as it's only 5k shield vanilla and 10k power, it's good, because whatever we get into the trial deck, it should be better than this card. So with this, we're actually giving this deck a little bit of a disadvantage against the other deck, but we don't want to give it too much disadvantage. That's why I went with this. As you see right here, the lineup is a little bit strange, because we only could play 8 grade 3s, which is good, because riding into multiple grade 3s doesn't really do much because there is no gaining markers. But what you do get is, of course, if you persona ride. So that's the reason why we play 4-4. But if we will get the chance to play more grade 3s from the new box, that will make the trial deck, or starter deck in this case, better, then we can't count that in this video, because this video is actually only showcasing the starter deck. So again, we play lots of grade 2s, we don't play order card. And if people would say, yo, D-Boy, how could you play more grade 2s than the deck will show you? Well, yeah, we will just have to wait and see, because if you actually would think about it, then the amount of grade 2s that you could play at max is 12. So one of these cards has to be a order card. And if we want to do that, then we could just take this card out and make it the order card. And with that, some people would say, hey, that's more fair, because we know for sure that you could not play in extra grade 2. And that's what I will do right here. So you guys would see that I'm playing it fair, but actually I would not want to run the order card without any other support with the order card that give it back to the hand or search it from the deck or does anything with the order card, because I didn't feel that the order card added too much to the deck except discarding it to right. But yeah, for argument's sake, let's put one order card in there. Alright, so this is the deck. Now let's get back and explain some of the cards. Of course, these do nothing. The order card, when you play it, you soul charge 2, that's it. And we have the imposter right here, as in the card that will actually not be in the trial deck. It's just when it attacks a Vanguard, gets yeah, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit to get an extra 3k, which makes it a 13k booster, and it's good to restand and attack with it again. So that's the reason why I added it in here. It's just an easy extra skill to add to the deck. When it comes to the grade 1, of course we have the Perfect Guard. It's a, as I said, 7k 0 shield. A Perfect Guard, you know what it does. The Acrobat Presenter is a very interesting card. This card actually has the ability that when it attacks or boosts, as long as you have Bruce, then you could soul charge 1. But if you're in Final Rush, you could soul charge 1 more, which means that the turn that you Final Rush, this card could give you 2 soul charge. But because it's not once per turn or even a hard once per turn, you could actually restand this card with Bruce and you could soul charge 4 in 1 turn. It will not happen that much because it's not a beat stick, it doesn't get power, but because it's in 8k and there is a chance that you actually could persona ride, then you will be able to make it 18k. And if you don't have anything else to attack with, then this is pretty good if you really need the soul. Soul charge 4 in 1 turn is huge, and which means that next turn you could actually go to another Bruce turn. The last great one that we have in here, and also one of the cards that, as you can see from the sleeves, one of them is in the right deck, is of course the Bad Steve. Bad Steve right here has also a very impressive skill. When you ride into him, you could call 1 Vanguard from your soul, which means that you pretty much could call your starter, and you call it in the back column. And when you do that, the next turn that you ride into him, you could put that starter back to your soul to draw an extra card, as long as your opponent doesn't retire it or something. For that, it actually gives you a good boost for him, and also it gives you just the extra draw from him. But he also gives you an extra soul, because when you use the ability to call something, you soul charge 1, which means you gain the same amount of soul. But when you get into him, you soul charge the starter back, and with that you gain 1 extra soul. So it's pretty good skill. It's very simple but very effective. The second ability is if you're in Final Rush, he gets an extra 5k, which means a 13k booster, but most of the time you'll be able to Superior Ride, Persona Ride, and for that you actually will be able to hit the 23 column attack, the 23 number, and that's pretty good, right? So we have this badass boy right here chilling on his favorite spot. Next card we have, the only grade 2 that we could talk about, is of course Richard. Richard is another card that will also be in the right deck, as you see. Richard right here, as explained, has the ability that whenever you ride into it, you could put one of your regards into your soul to draw an extra card. Very good, very effective, very nice to gain the extra soul back and to just gain an extra card to the hand, because of course these decks don't draw much And yeah, it's actually very effective. As simple as it is, it's very effective. The second ability, it gains 5k if you're in Final Rush, the same as his little brother, which is Steve, assuming they are brothers. And yeah, it's pretty good. It makes him a 15k attacker beater, which is exactly the same as the 13k, but of course you could intercept with it, because if it chills on the front row, while with him you could not intercept with it. Alright, so important card to keep in the deck, Richard. Then we come into the Colossus. So this card, of course, is, as I like to call it, it's the new Juggernaut. It's a Gear Juggernaut, and for that reason I call it Gear Juggy. You could call it whatever you like, but for me it will always be a Gear Juggy. This card is one of the reasons why this deck started winning against the Overlord deck in my testing, because before this card came out I actually missed that beat stick that you really wanted to restand, and this card is just the right card for that. Also, it gives 1 extra soul, so when you call it, you could soul charge 1. That's pretty easy. And then if you are in Final Rush, you could counterblast 1 to give it an extra 15k. The deck doesn't counterblast at all. There is no card that counterblasts. Maybe I'm missing something, but there is just nothing that counterblasts. That's why I'm assuming one of the grade 2s will have a counterblast, a skill to get something to the hand, maybe an order card or something. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, this is the only card that actually counterblasts. And that makes it pretty good, because you could pretty easy use the counterblast, make it a huge beat stick. Remember that this will gain extra 15k, which makes it 28, right? But because most of the time you will be able to persona, right? This would be a 30k, a 38k attacker, 38k. You know how much that's insane. A 30k attack that comes twice, and sometimes even boosted, sometimes you get a front trigger, is no way that your opponent could guard it without having to discard half of their hand or have a PG. That's one of the reasons why I actually run the extra front, because I find these decks, the decks from D, not having that much defense, and when you hit them hard, you actually would rather hit them with multiple attacks that could hit them, as long as they don't get an over trigger in their damage checks. It's good to go. And this is one of the cards that could make that possible. If you play one more crit, that's also good, but I feel like your opponent would guard with everything they have that one attack that has the crit, and they will leave the other one go through. Well, with this, they have to actually waste lots of their resources or be wasting their PGs, and it's good. So again, one of the cards that actually made a huge difference, and it's just crazy beat stick. Then we have the ace of the deck, Bruce himself, another card, of course, that we put in the right deck, with Matt as your starter. That's the 4th card, of course. This card is impressive. The first time I saw it, I was really happy with the way the art looked. And the skill, when I saw it, I was like, this is very Spike-like, and that's really nice. Of course, the first time you ride into it, it's just a vanilla, because you will not be in Final Rush, because his skill activates at the start of the ride phase. But what it does, it gives you 1 strong turn, because you will have to wait a turn, but that turn will be crazy. And the way that you play this deck is pretty much up to you. I did try to keep my resources in my hand and not commit too much to the field, but later on I felt like that didn't really do much. You would rather actually rush your opponent, try to let them discard as much as you can, put your grade 2s in the front row and just play old school intercept with them when you need to, but don't waste shield on them, because you could always move your grade 1s, you could call grade 1s from your hand, and you'll be good. As long as you could persona rise, you will be good. So that's actually it for this video and for the deck explanation. If you guys are interested to know my thoughts about the match that I will play for you guys with the Overlord deck, trial deck, versus the Bruce starter deck, then you could check the thoughts, or you could just check the match video. In the match video, I'll play the match for you guys, but not explain too much, otherwise the video will take really long. So for that, we will end this video. So again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in our channel. Thank you for the support you give to us on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And of course, we would love to see you in the next video. As always, till next time.